Good afternoon, everyone. Coach Marlin hates that he can't be here, sort of. He's on the road recruiting, and we've obviously had a very good week with this past week, but we got a huge challenge coming up on Saturday. So with that, I'll take questions.
Talk about the improvement of Jay Wright just over the last 3 ball games.
You know, he's been a warrior, and I don't throw that term around lightly. He has really come up in a big way on both ends of the floor for us the last 3 games. And if you look at our wins and look at our losses in the league, when he plays well, we win, and we win in a big way. When he doesn't, we tend to struggle. But these last 3 games, last week especially, you know, he put the team on his back from time to time and got the ball to the basket, finished shots, and then defensively, we think he's maybe the best guard in the league that's able to heat up the basketball. So we're really proud of what he's done, and we look for more of it.
You guys got caught by the schedule playing five teams that had the week off before playing you.
Yeah,
and now you get the week off before Georgia.
I think that's a big deal. I really do. I think this is the first time all year in conference play where we have a bye on Thursday, and the team we're playing on Saturday is playing on Thursday and traveling to us. As you said, we got caught 5 times with that earlier in conference play, and that can be an issue. And if you don't think it is, try to do it, because there's a definite advantage to having an extra couple days to prepare, but at this time of year, having the couple extra days of rest is just as important, mentally as well as physically.
Talk about how big that win was Saturday, then going into your next home game.
Well, every win is big, but it was big for a couple different reasons. Number one, we needed to get a split with Arlington. They had beaten us here a couple weeks ago, and you know, you're trying to get into that 4th spot to get a bye. But also, I think from a confidence perspective, on the road, a team you kind of owe a game to, thinking you didn't play your best basketball the last time you saw them. So for a variety of reasons, it was a big win. Obviously, seeding, people look at that as being the most important thing, but for us, I think it was a mental toughness issue, a physical toughness issue, and getting ready to play for the conference tournament.
The team struggled with consistency all year. You won 3 in a row. Do you feel like you're finding consistency right now?
We hope so. I think that's key this time of year. When you get into late February, early March, the team that is playing the most consistent generally wins. We were able to do that last year, if you'll recall. We got in a run late in February and then had a terrific March. I think the guys are posed to do that. But having said that, you have to take it 1 game at a time. You can't look past your next game. If you do, you lose sight of that consistency. And consistency of effort is a daily choice. And you know, the will to prepare is something you have to focus in on every day. And teams that are able to do that at this time of year put themselves in a great position come March.
What stood out about the way Southern plays, and maybe Hewitt in particular, the first time you saw them?
Georgia Southern has 3 fifth-year seniors, and that's a big deal in college basketball. Hewitt is one of those 5th-year seniors, along with Wiedemann and Ferguson. They only play 7 guys. They don't play a lot of guys, so they're tested. You know, they're road tough. They're very good defensively. They'll do a lot of switching on the basketball, and they've been pretty consistent with that, and they can score. Of those 7 guys, 3 average double figures. Hewitt is a bit of a defensive nightmare for coaches. He can shoot to 3, he can beat you off the bounce, and then he's very good at getting to the free throw line. So we've got to do a pretty good job of containing him. We did that last time in Statesboro, but he's going to come at us, and we know that. They're coming in, as we talked about earlier, though, having to play on Thursday, so hopefully we'll use that to our advantage.
Good bit of like lineup changes, kind of role shuffling lately. Do you guys feel like you finally kind of have a formula that works, or is it still make something kind of cool?
Basketball is a game of matchups. This game is different than any other game you can play, and it's all about matchups. And you start and you put people on the floor who are able to give you a matchup advantage. And if you're going to do that and do it successfully, a lot of guys have to be ready to play. If you look at the game against Arlington, think about this now. We didn't have a senior on the floor at any point during the game. And for the good portion of that game, we had freshmen and sophomores on the floor trying to make plays for us. And they did in a big road game, which allowed us to have a big road win. That's significant. But it's all about matchups with this game. So who starts one game, that person may not start the second game. Who's in it this time, that person may not be in it that time. And it all depends on matchups.
When you're doing that, how do you explain that to the guys? Some guy might say, I was started 3 games in a row, now I'm starting the bench. Do they kind of?
Oh, it's
understand
easy. You
matchups?
explain it to them. Listen, everyone has to accept their role and what they need to do at a particular time in a game to help us be as successful as we can be. So they all know it's about matchups. We talk to them about that. We talk to them about that in the scouting report. We talk to them about that in our preparation. We'll talk to 2 or 3 different guys and say, hey, you may be the guy assigned to Jelani Hewitt. You may be the guy to assign Jelani Hewitt at this particular time in the game. So they all understand that and they know that. And you have to be willing to accept that in this sport because it's such a fluid game. We don't have 30 seconds to 45 seconds in between plays to figure things out. You've got to make a transition from offense to defense like that. And when you do, depending on time and score, your matchups determine who wins the basketball.
Coach, you talking about matchups. You said going into Texas State that you felt that was a game that you guys matched up very well with and that y'all were going to play really good defense in it. Turned out that way. What was the difference in the way you guys played against Texas Arlington there and here?
Well, it's all about making shots, right? And sometimes, we try to look at we get lost in the weeds, so to speak. We did a good job of making guys take shots that they didn't want to take, a foot from the spot on the floor that they wanted to take them. We got them out of their rhythm a little bit, and we did that early. And if you can do that early, I think you can set a tone for the game. And the last 2 games, we've really done a good job with our field goal percentage defense. I don't get too wound up, and most basketball coaches don't, in scoring defense, because there's different ways you can manipulate that stat. But it's your field goal percentage defense which really shows where you're at defensively. And we've been really good Thursday and Saturday. We need to carry that on to this coming Saturday against Georgia Southern because they are very proficient at scoring the basketball, and they can score from a lot of different areas of the floor.
Not having had the full week to prepare for a while, what does that allow you to do, just day to day, getting ready for a team?
A couple different things. I think at this time of year, mental rest is just as important as physical rest. It gives you a time to spend a little more time in the film room, breaking things down with your players individually or in small groups. We'll be doing that today. It allows the coaches to get out on the road and recruit, especially the head coach. That's difficult to do at this time of year, but it's critically important to the continued progress of your program because there's so many regional and state tournaments getting ready to play in high school and junior college. But at this time of year, to have an open date on Thursday, I think is really big because it gives us a chance to rest mentally a little bit, and it gives us a chance to do a lot of film work. And in this sport, that's critical.
Any update on Brian Williams?
No, it's day to day with the shoulder. It's day to day with the shoulder.
Last time he said it was a charge. Did Bob Marlin take the charge or a block?
His feet were set. He was outside the circle, and he was trying to explain that to the referee, and I was trying to make sure that he explained it in the appropriate manner.
2-game streak.
2 games straight, and we won 2 in a row.
There you go.
But it was a definite charge.
So they're gonna have to bulk up.
Looking at the schedule, and I was talking with Ben about it earlier, 4 in a row to start, and then Georgia Southern kind of started to skate. I guess 3 in a row now. Are y'all locked in, I guess, mentally as
Well, I
far
think
as
when you
the
look at the first 4 conference games, we win 4 in a row, and we are on a roll. We're on a roll, and then you get a break. You take the weekend off. A bad time to take a break. You want you want momentum on your side. You want to continue playing. We have to travel to Georgia Southern for 5 games in 10 days. I think this time momentum's on our side a little bit. We don't have that break where we can just take a weekend off. It's different taking a couple days off during the week versus the weekend. Kids are still going to class. You can do work with them. They're on campus. They're in a routine. So we're hoping to keep that momentum going. I think that will play a little bit of a part in what happens on Saturday.
Coach, when you talked about Jay Wright playing well and not playing well and it impacting the result of the game, is that about just him finishing or getting fouled and making free throws? Is it about whether the shooting percentage or what other factors play?
Well, I think in order for a player to prepare well, they have to play well. They have to prepare well. That's number 1. Number 2, they've got to be locked into what they're doing on both ends of the floor. And when you play the lead guard position, there's a lot of responsibility there. You have more responsibility really than anybody else on the floor because you have the basketball in your hands more than anybody. And when Jay has struggled, it hasn't been a byproduct of poor shot selection. The ball just hasn't gone down for him. And he's starting to play increased minutes, and he's able to handle that. But these last 3 games, literally he took the team and put it on his back on both ends of the floor. He's made it very difficult for other teams' lead guards not only to get the ball up the floor, but to make that entry pass where they want to start their offense from. But for Jay, at his size, he's not the biggest guy out there, but I think he's got the biggest heart. And, I told him the other day, I said, you really impressed me with the way you've manned up. and taken over this leadership position and taken responsibility for what's going on out on the floor. And it's been a lot of fun to watch. You can really see a maturation process there with Jay, growing mentally and physically into a Division I college basketball player. And he takes on that responsibility. He wants that responsibility. He doesn't shy away from it. It's hard to find guys like that.
Each of the last 3 games, you've had somebody different kind of step up and make a big contribution, whether it's Gronkowski or Shepard or Hayward with his 15 points in the first half. Is that kind of the sign when the team is going well, when it's not just the usual guys like Sean putting in the big numbers? Yeah,
I think anytime you have consistency of effort and you're able to spread the wealth, so to speak, once again, going back to my previous comment about matchups, you should have a different guy every now and then step up to be your lead guy in scoring. If it's the same guy night in and night out, I think that kind of says you're a little bit limited as to what you're doing. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a points thing. It can be rebounds, it can be assists, it can be on the defensive end of the floor. But when you have a variety of guys that can put the ball in the basket from a variety of spots on the floor, it really helps you because of the matchup situations with the people you're playing. You know, some people have played a zone. We saw some zone against Arlington. We saw some zone against Texas State, a little bit of it. We saw some zone against Troy. We're probably not going to see any zone against Georgia Southern. They're going to play a lot of man, going to be a lot of switching man. So that's going to provide guys different opportunities in how they score. So having that versatility, I think, is a big deal if you're going to have success late in February going into the conference tournament. Because somebody's going to have a bad night. Somebody else, next man up. You know that phrase, next man up? Somebody's got to step up and take over responsibility of getting the ball to the basket and being productive offensively.
Talked about all the nice things your team's doing lately. Heading into the end of this season, what's the one thing that you and Coach Marlin and the rest of the staff have harped on that you guys need to fix if you're going to try to get things done in the postseason?
I don't think it's necessarily a fix, but it's a focus, and it's on the defensive side of the ball. And we've done that for the last month, 6 weeks. We've focused on nothing but defense, defense, defense. Guarding the basketball, helping guard the basketball, and then guarding the basket. Because when you get into tournament play, as I said before, you're not necessarily going to shoot the ball well every night. So you've got to rely on your defense to give you a chance to win. And the staff and Coach Marlin have been harping on that and really focusing on that and getting our guys to lock into that. And I think you've seen some results over the last week because our defense has been, I thought, really good, especially our defensive field goal percentage, which I think is a true indicator of a good defensive team.
Anything else, guys?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trevor.